Hi, this video is on how to do Windows memory testing. We've booted into the Ultimate Boot CD, and this is what the screen shows up like if you toss in that CD. And then you can go straight down to memory tests, and there's a variety of different memory tests. The Windows Memory Diagnostic Test is the easiest test, but it only tests under 4 gig of RAM. So if you put it in a machine that has 4 gig or more, you're going to get an error that's going to say, hey, I can't do all the memory. Do you want to go ahead and continue? You can hit C and it'll continue and do the Windows memory test. Where it says active in blue in the middle, where it just changed to succeeded, it will be green as it goes through each of the tests. If at any point it fails, you see it in red, it'll say failed. It won't let you know what stick of RAM failed, just that you have RAM in that failed. So if you get a fail, you need to take all the memory out of the motherboard, only have one stick in, and try to diagnose one stick at a time to see if that is what your issue is. So we'll try the Ultimate Boot CD for the Mem Test next. So when we boot up again to the memory test, we'll go ahead and use the Mem Test. Now there's two different options of Mem Test, and on this particular machine, the Mem Test 86 Plus does not work. And just so you know, the 86 Plus and the 86 are built on the same architecture, and the 86 one is the only one currently being maintained. You can use either one. They come up and look the same. You just get an additional screen here for the Mem Test, and then it's just going to time out and start the test. You get the same information on this that you did on the Mem Test 86 Plus. There's one more line on there that you can't see on here, but it says how many CPUs there are, what L1, L2, and L3 cache. This one down here, if you look in the middle right, it says what pass you're on. This one starts at pass 0, and you know you've done a full pass once that turns to pass 1. And on the bottom it'll say this stick has passed this memory has passed the memory test. Just like the Mem Test, the Windows one, it doesn't let you know what stick is bad. So if you get a failure, then you need to remove all your RAM again and do one stick at a time to try to figure out which stick is bad. The last option we have to get into a memory test is to do it through fog. And if on a laptop, you can just hit F12 and it's got to be plugged into the network, and you can choose it. And on a desktop, it already should be set up that way, so I'm going to make this one boot to the network instead. So now we're booting to the network instead, and we're going to come up to fog. And so when fog comes up, you have 3 seconds while it's booting to fog to pick Mem Test 86 Plus. So on this one, this is where I can just go down arrow 1, hit the enter key, and then it's just going to boot directly into the Mem Test 86 Plus. Okay, and we can go down and pick the Mem Test 86 Plus there, and it should boot straight into it. I'm not sure why I did that time. And then when we get this through fog, it's just going to go ahead and do that short delay and go ahead and start the test. And it looks just like the Mem Test 86, and you can use that to test memory if you've got a PC that you are going out to troubleshoot and you're not sure exactly if it's a memory error or not. You can just start the memory test and then wait a few minutes and see if it fails. And by the way, on all these memory tests, usually you get a failure in the first 5 minutes of it. It's going through all the sticks for all these tests one at a time, and it usually doesn't take getting to the last test for it to fail. And that's it for using the Ultimate Boot CD or a Mem Test 86 CD or the network boot to test your system memory.